The Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Forestry, as well as NamWater, will be hosting key parties at a roundtable event that is designed to facilitate urgent solutions to water shortages experienced in Southern Africa. Emil Randemeyer, the Chief Executive Officer of Open Africa, as well as Abraham Nehemiah, the Chief Executive Officer of the water utility here in Namibia, that is NamWater, now joins us with more details on this. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Very well. Starting with you, Mr. Randemeyer. Talk to us about the operations of Open Africa and its connection to Namibia.
Yes, well, thank you for having us. Open Africa is based in Dubai, and we have a mandate to look at opportunities for investment in Africa and provide a platform for discussion to facilitate investment into these opportunities. Water specifically and natural resources overall is quite critical. As you know, in Southern Africa, we've just come out of shortages last year out of Cape Town. At the moment, we talk about water resources in Namibia, and then you also have places like Chennai in India, where there's a matter of days before they're running out of water. So I think globally there's a massive issue in terms of managing and effectively managing water resources, and kind of why we are here is to talk about providing this platform so that we can have sort of open discussions about technology providers, financiers, and all the stakeholders to participate. You're
coming from one of the most advanced countries, a desert that has water, and you never run out of water. So what technology are you using? But is there an appetite for investment into the water infrastructure and sector at all?
I think there certainly is. I mean, PPP, or the public-private partnerships, is been taken off over the last couple of decades, and then I think we've seen evidence specifically in Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, where we have Dubai and Abu Dhabi on both sides or either side of the scales, where Dubai has very much not gone down the PPP, so it's more government funded and driven, whilst Abu Dhabi has gone very much into the PPP program, where they've done very successfully PPP program to develop both integrated plants for power and water, but also independent water plants as well. Okay. So yes, there is an appetite.
Great. Mr. Nehemiah, let's talk about what necessitated the roundtable discussion as it relates to water and sustainability of its funding for infrastructure.
No, thank you very much, and good morning again. So definitely what necessitated this meeting is that if you look at what's happening in the country now with the drought, and this drought has been now around for quite a while, and we do not know how is it going to move forward. Probably we can expect next year to have another drought year again. So we have to innovate. We have to come up with new ideas, and we also have to look at how to pull together all the available resources. Government has certain resources, but we also want the private sector to come in to see how we can then put together the available resources to address issues in terms of new ideas, infrastructure-wise and also technology-wise. Therefore, we want to engage stakeholders and see how we can address this issue at hand.
Okay. Now, for the longest part of your career, you've worked for the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Forestry. Now you're at NamWater. What are the challenges that are there, that have been there, and what are we doing to solve these issues when it relates to water infrastructure?
Water infrastructure in Namibia, there are a couple of challenges. Maybe I could start off with the issue of the investment. We have not putting in as much money as I would have liked to see in terms of developing infrastructure in this country. The other issue is also the aspect of the way Namibians have settled in this country. We are scattered all over the show. Yeah. Now, to be able to provide water, sometimes we have to provide water to a place where you only find 2 or 3 households, and they are 40 kilometers away from the water source.
Yeah, so
now
the cost of
putting up that infrastructure to just go and serve those people, but everybody in this country needs water. It's a right. You have to make sure that they all have water, and that has been detrimental in terms of cost that is related to infrastructure development. The other aspect, I think, as we are talking about now, is looking at who else can come on board so that we can all put our minds together. Yeah. And also the issue of the maintenance of the existing infrastructure. I think has not been going so well, and we are developing now new strategies to look at how do we ensure then that that infrastructure that we have, because what does it help to put up new infrastructure and to have a dilapidated one?
Correct.
So you have to work both maintaining what you have and also coming up with additional new ones. And that we need all the stakeholders to come on board so that at the end of the day we are able to really ensure that we supply water to our people at all centers and all demand needs.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The roundtable meeting will facilitate the integration or the mix of capital from public capital and private sector financing as it relates to development of infrastructure as well as building resilient to water management. What are some of the opportunities that exist within the framework of the PPP?
In the Ondorombapa area,
okay, don't worry about that. Yes.
Well, I think it's it's fairly early stages. I think in terms of, and I think what's important is the first step is getting the stakeholders around the table and talk about what is the infrastructure that exists and what works, and obviously look at other markets where they've done this successfully in the past and then learn from that and see what is required to be able to successfully do that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's kind of crucial to or center point to our discussions tomorrow.
Yeah.
At our roundtable event.
And Mr. Nehemia, when you look at your balance sheet for NamWater, you have quite a strong balance sheet. Has it always been difficult for you to raise funds for water infrastructure development?
Yeah, no, it has been difficult. If you look at Namibia, look at the population, look at the users, and look at poverty levels and all those kind of things, and the current economic conditions, it is the Namibian people who have to pay for water. And I don't want to reveal the figures here, but if you look at the debt that the users out there own NamWater, you don't want to hear that, and I'm not going to say it as well.
Maybe you can write it.
Yeah, it's quite difficult because we only get our money from the users. NamWater has to struggle by itself to find the resources, and that's actually the reason why it took a bit longer when I was talking about maintenance. Yeah. NamWater has to balance between
maintaining what's there.
Yeah, maintaining what's there and try to make more resources available for new infrastructure development. The population is too small. And most of the projects that you find put up in this country are schemes, especially in rural areas, which are not economic viable, where you cannot recover what you put in there. Yeah. So you put up the scheme, but at the end of the day, it will just be water subsidized to the users. Yeah. So even the little money that NamWater has now, if we really have to embark upon addressing all the issues that we have, we are not even going to address half of the needs that NamWater has. So and for now we have been really trying to say, let's do what we can. Let's not use government to support us. But as we are now embarking upon serious infrastructure development, we are really going to ensure that we approach the government and all other stakeholders to see how we can
anything the PPPs will work, agreements will work in this instance?
The PPPs works. It depends on where you want to do it. If you look, for instance, at the water reclamation plant in Windhoek, it's a PPP thing between the city of Windhoek and the company that's running that plant, and it works well. So it depends on where you want to bring it in.
And Mr. Redemea, let me bring you in here as it relates to the PPPs. There's a belief that infrastructure development that is developed under the PPPs becomes more expensive to the end users, because then you have a middleman who is a business, of course, oriented person that will need to charge their profit and exit the project thereafter, as opposed to government developed infrastructures. What's your take on that?
I think it's part of a bigger scheme, because the saving comes in, first of all, that the government does not have to invest those amounts in terms of the capital required to set it up. Therefore, it's paid off over a certain life cycle. That's, there's a project lifetime where the operator will then recover the capital that it's invested on behalf. I think part of the savings, not necessarily should the fees go up. Again, I've mentioned Abu Dhabi and Dubai, which one does use PPP, the other not, and the rates does not differ massively between them, which means that it comes down to efficiency of the private sector, certain cost savings, which
the way the deal is structured.
That's correct. I mean, and it's also about economy of scale. Yeah, the bigger they are. I mean, some of these PPP players or operators, some of them serve hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah.
You know, so they've got the economy of scale, the experience, the technology to bring to the table. So they can. I mean, it doesn't mean that it has to be more expensive for the end user. You know, it's all in terms of how you structure it, and benefit from efficiencies.
Okay. Now, Mr. Nehemia, let's talk about the roundtable meeting. When is it happening?
Yeah, it's taking tomorrow. Take place tomorrow at Abani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what time does it start?
In the morning.
We start at 9. We kind of start kick-off proceedings at 9 o'clock, and we'll probably finish at after lunch. Okay. So we have a number of people coming in from region South Africa, from Dubai. We've got representatives from Germany, Spain, as well as France. Yeah. So yeah, and it's, you know, all stakeholders is involved. We've got from lawyers to engineers to investors. So it's a very good group, and we're all looking forward to Mr. Nehemia's presentation tomorrow as well.
Lead. Yes. To the, and I understand you're from the private equity, or
no?
What is your mandate exactly?
Open Africa is providing the platform, so we kind of arrange the event and bring the stakeholders together.
You bring in the stakeholders and the private equity and the investors.
That's correct. Yeah. So we bring them around the table and provide the platform then for them to discuss.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the success stories from across Africa. I mean, you are at Open Africa. You should have experienced this, of course. Namibia is not the first where you are investing in water infrastructure and energy.
Yeah, we've been doing some work in East Africa where we looked at more energy on the energy side, renewable energy. So that's at the moment across Africa, that's a fairly hot topic, and there's a lot of people that is investing in it, and there's a lot of funds coming out of the Middle East as well, you know, from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait, Dubai, a lot of investments into that sector as well. I think in terms of Southern Africa, this is our first sort of experience in terms of the water side, but we're looking at more. We're actually producing a white paper on the water infrastructure in Southern Africa. Yeah. So yes, no, it's I think there's good opportunities. There's good success stories out there as well, and it's going to be more of it. And this is only the beginning, as I said earlier. Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more of it. I mean, your neighbours, Botswana, has also got water shortages. So I think there's certainly the beginning of a road going down water conservation. And
okay, Mr. Nehemia, this is really a tall order for you, being at the helm of NamWater. And if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of need, water is one of those basic ones which is there, and there are so many expectations on you. What is your ultimate goal? What do you want to see when you leave office at NamWater?
Yeah, definitely my job is to ensure that bulk water supply in this country is available to the demand centers. Demand centers being the towns, the mines, the agricultural schemes. So all those big users, they should have water. And that's my take on to make sure that at the end of the day, they have access to water. And that access to water should be a reliable one. It's not where somebody has got water for 2 hours in the morning and the rest of the day there's no water. So it's reliable water. But this is it has to happen taking into consideration the water situation in this country. Yeah. Climate change is taking a toll on us. Most of the water we have is at the borders with our neighboring countries. Our groundwater is really going down. If you look at the city of Windhoek now, when Windhoek was established because of the fountains, water was just coming out of the ground by itself. Now this aquifer we are planning to inject water into it to take it back to its original state, but we need rainwater to do that. The dams are not going beyond 50% nowadays. So it's really a tall order. I think it's quite a difficult situation that we find ourselves in. But as I said, the most important thing is to innovate and to take opportunities of the available technologies, so that we can get water from any.
I hope one of the technologies is not shooting clouds, eh?
If
it has to come to that, it has to.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. So
Okay.
we don't rule anything out.
Yeah.
But what we should do is that we venture into technologies that are affordable by NamWater and the country as a whole.
Okay.
If we need to bring up something that works and NamWater does not have money to do it,
yeah.
we approach our
Investors,
our shareholder and say, look, this technology, the benefits are A, B, C, D, so we need you to assist us. But honestly, before I leave, one thing I want to see is that we have a system that works, a system that has less water wastage, a system where the quality is really improved, because we have water in certain areas where people are consuming, but it's not really meeting all the necessary WHO standards, and that's the things I really want to look into.
Great.
Affordability, reliability, and also sustainability.
So when you retire from office, wherever you are going to retire, there will be water, consistent supply, no interruption. That's your dream. Yeah.
Countrywide, yeah, not where I'm going to be. I want the whole country to be.
Okay, great. Mr. Rodemayer, your final remarks, please.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. We are obviously thankful to Mr. Nehemiah for coming together as well as with the Ministry of Finance through the PPP unit. And I think it's going to be an exciting program. We're all looking forward to it.
Okay, great. Mr. Nehemiah, your final remarks?
Yeah, I just want Namibians to take this opportunity to attend. The meeting is here. You don't need to pay for a ticket. So all those who are invited, please, if they can attend, so that we can share, because this is really to, as we said, it's a beginning. The PPP unit in the Ministry of Finance was established to facilitate this, and they are really going to be there and help us to even understand what we are doing in relation to the policy itself. What does the country want to see in terms of private sector involvement in developmental projects?
Great.
So all are invited, and those are invited are welcome to really attend.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and all the best for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. I was in conversation with Mr. Emil Rodemayer, the Chief Executive Officer of Open Africa, as well as Mr. Abraham Nehemiah, the Chief Executive Officer of NamWater. They're talking to us about the roundtable event that is designed to discuss issues related to water infrastructure as well as water management. That's happening tomorrow, the 18th of July at Avani Hotel in the capital city. It starts at 9 o'clock. You're all invited to attend.